The massive ship drifted through the dark space between stars, its hull glowing with strange blue lights. Inside the command center, dozens of alien beings sat around a circular table made of pure energy. Their shapes were different from each. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking crystals, and some had no solid form at all. Commander Zexhai stood at the center of the room. His skin was covered in green and silver scales that caught the light as he moved. His yellow eyes looked worried as he watched the other aliens argue. The noise in the room was getting louder as more creatures joined the debate. "You are all making a terrible mistake," Zexhai said, his voice cutting through the noise. The room became quiet. "Earth is not like the other worlds we have conquered. The humans are different." Queen Vishara made a clicking sound with her mouth parts. She was the leader of the Kithara, a race that looked like giant ants but walked on two legs. Her black eyes reflected no emotion as she stared at Zexhai. "Different how?" she asked. "They have no advanced weapons. Their ships barely reach there. Own moon. We have conquered 47 worlds, Commander. What makes these humans so special?" Zexhai pressed a button on his wrist device. A blue light filled the air above the table, showing a three-dimensional map of Earth's solar system. The small blue planets spun slowly in the center. "My people have been watching them for 300 years, Zexhai said. "We have sent scouts to study them. What we learned should terrify you all." A creature made of living gas floated closer to the table. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind through metal pipes. "Tell us what you learned, Valerian." Zexhai walked around the table. As he spoke, "Humans are the only species we have found that makes war against itself constantly. They have been fighting each other for thousands of years. They have turned killing into an art form. So they fight among themselves," Queen Vesiara said. "That makes them weak, not strong." "No," Zexhai said firmly. "It makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They have weapons that can destroy their entire planet. They build machines designed only to kill. They have practiced warfare for so long that every human child knows how to fight." The room became noisy again, as different aliens spoke at once. Some laughed at Zexhai's words. Others looked worried. Far away, on the planet Earth, Colonel Jake Morrison sat in his office at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado. The morning sun came through his window as he read reports from the night shift. Most of the papers were routine: training schedules, maintenance reports, and weather updates. But one report made him stop reading. It came from the Deep Space Monitoring Station in New Mexico. Strange signals had been detected at the edge of the solar system. The signals were too organized to be natural, but too weak to be clearly identified. Jake picked up his phone and called Dr. Lisa Barnes at NORAD headquarters. She was one of the best space analysts in the country. "Lisa, did you see the report?" "From New Mexico?" he asked. "I'm looking at it now," she replied. "The patterns are interesting, but I need more data. Could be space debris, could be equipment failure, or it could be something else," Jake said quietly. "Let's not jump to conclusions," Lisa said, "but I'll keep monitoring. If there's something out there, we'll find it." Back in space, the argument continued. Admiral Thane of the Nexari Coalition stood up. His body was made of living crystal that changed colors as he moved. Right now, he was glowing red, which meant he was angry. "I have read the old records," he said. "There are stories about humans from long ago. They speak of a race that conquered their own world through endless war. They built cities just to destroy them. They created weapons that could kill millions. At once, stories," Queen Vishara said. "Old tales meant to frighten children. The stories say that humans are the only species that fights harder when they are losing." Admiral Thane continued. "They never surrender. They never give up. They would rather die than lose." Zexhai nodded. My scouts saw them fight during what they call their world wars. Millions died, but they kept fighting. They threw themselves against enemy weapons with no regard for their own lives. They turned their entire planet into a battlefield. And now? Asked another alien, one that looked like a walking tree. Now they are at peace with each other, HFY said. But that makes them more dangerous, not less. All that fighting spirit is waiting. All those weapons are still there. All that knowledge of war is still in their minds. The debate went on for hours. The younger alien races wanted to attack Earth. They saw it as an easy target, full of resources and weak defenses. The older races remembered other worlds that had seemed easy to conquer, but had fought back with unexpected strength. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Barnes stared at her computer screen. The data from the space monitoring stations was getting stranger. The signals were definitely artificial, and they were getting stronger. Something was moving in the outer solar system. Something big. She called a meeting with the other scientists and military officers. In a secure room deep underground, she showed them what she had found. These are not natural signals, she said, pointing to the display. They show patterns that suggest large objects moving in formation. The objects are too big to be asteroids and too organized to be space debris. General Pete Harrison looked at the data. He was an old soldier who had fought in 3 wars. He knew what organized movement looked like. How many objects are we talking about? He asked. At least 50, Lisa replied. Maybe more. They're moving toward the inner solar system. Could be a scientific expedition from another planet, suggested Captain Amy Foster, the general's aide. Or it could be something else, General Harrison said grimly. The Alien Council finally called for a vote. Each race had 1 vote, and they needed a simple majority to approve the invasion of Earth. The older races voted against it, but they were outnumbered by the younger, more aggressive species. When the vote was announced, Queen Veshara clicked her mandibles in satisfaction. The decision is made. We will take the human world within 6 months. HFY stood up slowly. His scales had turned dark with anger and fear. You have no idea what you're doing, he said. You think you are voting to conquer a primitive world. You are actually voting to awaken something that should be left sleeping. Your warnings are noted and ignored, Queen Veshara said. The Kithara will lead this invasion. We will show the galaxy how to properly conquer a world. As the meeting ended, HFY approached several of the neutral delegates. Please, he said quietly, reconsider this decision. The humans are not like other species. They are survivors. They are fighters. They will not go quietly into slavery. But his words fell on deaf ears. The decision was made. The invasion fleet would be assembled, and Earth would be attacked. On Earth, the signs were there for those who knew how to look. Military satellites detected unusual movement in deep space. Radio telescopes picked up strange signals. Scientists noticed changes in the cosmic background radiation, but Earth's governments were busy with their own problems. Wars, economics, and politics took up all their attention. The warning signs were filed away in reports that few people read. Humanity went about its daily business, unaware that in the depths of space, a war fleet was being assembled. A war fleet that would soon learn why invading Earth was madness and why no one had listened to the warnings. 3 months after the Alien Council's decision, the darkness of space near Jupiter suddenly filled with light. Hundreds of ships appeared out of nowhere, their strange shapes unlike anything humans had ever imagined. Some looked like giant insects, others like twisted metal trees, and the largest ones seemed to be alive. Queen Veshara stood on the bridge of her flagship, a consuming swarm. The ship was not built but grown, its walls made of living tissue that pulsed with each heartbeat. Around her, thousands of Kithara warriors prepared for battle. Their black shells gleamed under the ship's organic lights. "Begin the assault," she commanded. "Show these primitives the power of the hive." The first human to see them was Ben Parker. He worked the night shift at a NASA tracking station in California. He was drinking his third cup of coffee when his computer started going crazy. The screens showed massive objects moving past Jupiter, far too big to be anything natural. Rubbed his eyes and looked again. The readings were impossible. The objects were the size of small cities, and there were dozens of them. He reached for his phone with shaking hands. "Dr. Barnes? This is Ben at Goldstone. You need to see this right now." "Within 2 hours, Dr. Lisa." Barnes was staring at the same impossible data. The objects were definitely artificial, and they were moving toward Earth at incredible speed. She called Colonel Jake Morrison immediately. "Jake, we have a problem. A big one." At NORAD headquarters, alarms began ringing. The mountain base had been built to survive nuclear war, but no one had planned for this. Colonel Morrison stood in the command center, watching as more and more alien ships appeared on the tracking screens. "Get me the president," he ordered. President. Helen Carter was pulled from her bed at 3 a.m. Secret Service agents rushed her to the White House bunker as her advisors tried to explain what was happening. In the secure situation room, military leaders gathered around tables covered with maps and computer screens. "How many ships are we talking about?" the president asked. "At least 200, replied General Pete Harrison. "Maybe more. They're moving into the inner solar system." "What do they want?" President Carter asked. Her question was answered an hour later when every television and radio station on Earth received the same message. The voice was mechanical and cold, speaking in broken English. "Primitive species of the third planet. You will surrender immediately. Your world belongs to the hive now. Submit or face extinction. This is your only warning." The message played around the world. In Moscow, General Alexei Volkov slammed his fist on his desk. In Beijing, Admiral Liu Wei ordered his fleet to battle stations. In London, Prime Minister Robert Cole called an emergency meeting of Parliament. But it was the human response that surprised everyone, including the humans themselves. Instead of panic, there was anger. Instead of fear, there was determination. The alien threat had done something that politics and diplomacy had never accomplished. It united humanity. Captain Nick Taylor was getting ready for a routine training flight when the alert came through. His F-22 Raptor was loaded with standard air-to-air missiles, weapons designed to fight other aircraft, not alien spacecraft. But when the call came for volunteers to intercept alien scouts over the Pacific Ocean, Nick didn't hesitate. "Let's go show these things what humans are made of," he told his wingmen. The first battle between humans and aliens took place 30,000 feet above the Pacific. The alien scout ship was twice the size of Nick's fighter and covered in weapons. That looked like living things, but it moved in straight lines, following predictable patterns. Nick dove at the alien ship from above, his missiles striking its hull before the alien pilot could react. The scout ship exploded in a ball of green fire, its pieces falling into the ocean below. "One down," Nick reported over his radio. "These things aren't so tough." On the alien flagship, Queen Veshara received the report of the destroyed scout with confusion. How had such primitive aircraft managed to destroy her ships? Her scouts had reported that human weapons were weak and their tactics simple. "Send more scouts," she ordered, "and tell them to be more careful." The second mistake came when the aliens decided to make an example. They chose the International Space Station, thinking that destroying it would show humanity how helpless they were. The station was home to 12 astronauts from different countries, including Commander Sarah Bell from the United States and engineer Pavel Kozlov from Russia. The attack came without warning. Alien weapons tore through the station's hull like paper. The astronauts had no time to escape. The explosion was visible from Earth, a brief flash of light against the stars. The images reached Earth within minutes. Television screens around the world showed the burning wreckage of the space station. The astronauts had been heroes to billions of people, symbols of humanity's peaceful exploration of space. Marine Sergeant Ryan Wells was eating breakfast at his base in Japan when he saw the news. He watched the footage of the burning station, his hands gripping his coffee cup so tightly it cracked. "They killed our people," he said quietly. "They killed our people in cold blood." Around the world, the same scene played out. In military bases, police stations, and civilian homes, humans watched the destruction of their space station. But instead of breaking their spirit, it forged it into something harder than steel. Within hours, military recruitment centers were flooded with volunteers. Factories began converting their production lines to make weapons. Scientists worked around the clock to understand the alien technology from the destroyed scout ships. In Detroit, factory worker Maria Santos found herself assembling rifle parts instead of car engines. The factory floor that had once built automobiles now rang with the sound of weapons being made. "My son wanted to be an astronaut," she told her supervisor. "Now he'll never get the chance. These aliens are going to pay for what they did." Tech billionaire Steve Williams watched the news from his office in Silicon Valley. Within an hour, he had donated his entire satellite network to the military. His rockets, designed to launch internet satellites, were quickly modified to carry weapons into space. "If they want to fight," he told his engineers, "we'll give them one they'll never forget." The aliens made their next mistake by trying to establish landing zones in major cities. Queen Veshara believed that by controlling population centers, she could force humanity to surrender quickly. She chose New York City as her first target. The Cathara landing ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. They were huge, each one carrying thousands of alien warriors. The ships landed in Central Park, their arrival crushing trees and starting fires. Army Ranger Tony Garcia was in Manhattan when the aliens landed. He had been visiting his sister when the first landing ship crashed through the skyline. From his apartment window, he watched alien soldiers pour out of their ships like angry insects. "This is our city," he said, grabbing his service weapon. "Time to teach these bugs about urban warfare." What followed was humanity's first taste of ground combat with the aliens. The Cathara warriors were strong and well-armed, but they had never fought in a city before. The tall buildings, underground tunnels, and narrow streets confused them. Tony Garcia gathered other soldiers and police officers in the area. They turned the city into a maze of ambush points and sniper positions. The aliens found themselves under attack from windows, rooftops, and subway tunnels. "They don't understand cities," Tony radioed to his commanders. "They fight in open spaces. But we know every street, every building, every hiding spot." The Battle of New York lasted 3 days. When it was over, the alien landing force had been destroyed. The Cathara ships lay burning in the park, their crews dead or captured. Human casualties were heavy, but the aliens had learned their first lesson about fighting humans on their home ground. Dr. Linda Hayes led the team that examined the captured alien technology. Working in a secure laboratory beneath the Pentagon, she and her team took apart alien weapons and equipment piece by piece. "Their technology is advanced," she reported to military leaders. "But it's also specialized. They've never had to fight an enemy that adapts as quickly as we do." Her breakthrough came when she discovered that the alien bioships were vulnerable to Earth's bacteria. The living tissue that made up their hulls had no immunity to terrestrial diseases. "We can use this," she told General Harrison. "We can create weapons that will eat their ships from the inside out. Meanwhile, in the mountains of Montana, former Special Forces soldier Dan Foster was organizing civilian resistance groups. Hunters, farmers, and outdoorsmen gathered in hidden camps, learning to make explosives from fertilizer and gasoline. The aliens think they can control our planet, Dan told his volunteers. But they don't know the first thing about fighting humans who know the land. His network of resistance fighters began attacking alien supply lines and communication posts. They used knowledge of local terrain and improvised weapons to deadly effect. The aliens had never faced an enemy that could disappear into the landscape. Like ghosts, Queen Veshara stood in her command center, staring at the casualty reports. In just 2 weeks of fighting, she had lost more soldiers than in the previous 10 conquests combined. The humans were fighting with an intensity that defied all logic. The war had been raging for 2 months when the first major space battle began. Admiral Kate Harrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, a ship that had been built in just 6 weeks using parts from the International Space Station and every available military satellite. Around her, a fleet of converted civilian spacecraft prepared for the fight of their lives. All ships, this is Admiral Harrison, she spoke into her radio. Today, we take the fight to them. Today, we show these aliens that humans don't back down. The alien fleet hung in space above Earth like a dark cloud. Hundreds of bioships pulsed with sickly light, their living hulls covered in weapons that looked like angry eyes. Queen Veshara commanded from the center of the formation, confident that her superior numbers would crush the primitive human fleet. Lieutenant Commander Alex Chon gripped the controls of his modified fighter jet. His aircraft had been stripped of everything unnecessary and fitted with rocket engines and extra oxygen tanks. It was not designed for space combat, but humans had a talent for making things work that should not work. Liberty Flight were going in fast and hard, Alex radioed to his squadron. Hit them where they don't expect it and get out alive. The battle began with the humans doing something no alien race had ever attempted. Instead of forming neat battle lines, the human ships scattered in all directions. Some dove toward Earth, using the planet's gravity to increase their speed. Others hid behind chunks of debris from destroyed satellites. The Cathara commanders were confused. Where were the organized formations? Where were the predictable attack patterns? The humans fought like a swarm of angry insects, striking from unexpected directions and disappearing before the aliens could respond. Alex Chan's fighter screamed past a bioship's hull, his missiles tearing into the living tissue. Green blood sprayed into space as the alien vessel writhed in pain. Before the Cathara could return fire, Alex was already gone, diving toward another target. On Earth, the mobilization was complete. Every factory had been converted to war production. Maria Santos worked 18-hour shifts in Detroit, assembling weapons with parts that came from all over the world. The car factory now produced armor-piercing bullets and rocket launchers. My grandmother fought in World War II, Maria told her fellow workers during their brief rest period. She told me that when humans are pushed to the wall, we become something else, something dangerous. Tech billionaire Steve Williams had turned his rocket company into a weapon manufacturer. His satellites became kinetic missiles, crashing into alien ships at incredible speeds. His launch facilities fired modified rockets that carried nuclear warheads into space. The aliens made one big mistake, Steve told his engineers as they prepared another launch. They attacked our home. Now they get to see what humans do to anything that threatens their families. The real surprise came when the humans began using captured alien technology. Dr. Linda Hayes had been working around the clock in her underground laboratory, taking apart alien weapons and bioships. Her team of scientists had discovered something amazing. The alien technology is biological, she explained to General Pete Harrison. "It's alive. And like all living things, it can be infected." Her breakthrough was a virus that attacked the alien bioships from the inside. When human fighters got close enough to inject the virus into an alien hull, the ship would begin to die within hours. The living walls would rot, the weapons would stop working, and the crew would be forced to abandon ship. "It's poetic justice," Dr. Hayes said with a grim smile. "They came here to harvest our world. Now our world is eating their ships." In the mountains of Montana, Dan Foster's resistance network had grown into a small army. Hunters, farmers, and outdoor enthusiasts had become guerrilla fighters, using their knowledge of the land to strike at alien forces and disappear like ghosts. "The aliens fight like they're on parade," Dan explained to a group of new recruits. "Everything organized, everything by the book. But we fight like the land itself is alive and angry." His fighters used hunting rifles to pick off alien scouts from impossible distances. They planted homemade bombs along alien supply routes. They turned mountain caves into hidden weapon factories and communication centers. The aliens had never faced an enemy that could vanish into the environment so completely. Every forest could hide human fighters. Every mountain could conceal a weapon cache. Every civilian could be a potential combatant. Captain Nick Taylor had been promoted to major after shooting down his 10th alien scout ship. He now led a squadron of pilots who had learned to fight in 3 dimensions, using Earth's atmosphere and gravity as weapons. "The aliens fly like they're underwater," Nick explained to his pilots. "Slow, steady, predictable. But we fly like we were born in the sky, because we were." His squadron specialized in hit-and-run attacks on alien formations. They would dive out of the sun, strike fast, and disappear into cloud cover before the aliens could react. Human pilots were dying, but they were taking 3 alien ships for every human fighter lost. The Battle of New York had shown the aliens that humans could fight in cities. Now the Battle of Los Angeles proved that humans could fight anywhere. When alien forces tried to capture the city's port facilities, they found themselves facing an entire population that had turned every building into a fortress. Army Ranger Tony Garcia had been transferred to Los Angeles to train civilian fighters. In just 2 weeks, he had turned office workers and shop owners into effective urban warriors. "Every window is a sniper position," Tony taught them. "Every basement is a bunker. Every rooftop is a launch pad for rockets. The aliens may have better weapons, but this is our city." The civilians fought with a creativity that amazed even experienced soldiers. They used construction equipment as mobile armor. They turned delivery trucks into missile launchers. They rigged office buildings with explosives that could be triggered when alien troops entered. Queen Vishara stood in her command center, watching casualty reports that made no sense. Her forces were losing battles they should have won easily. Human technology was primitive, but human tactics were unlike anything in her experience. "How many ships have we lost today?" she asked her aide. 17 bioships destroyed, my queen. Another 23 damaged and withdrawing for repairs." "And human losses?" 6 of their spacecraft destroyed. But they seem to be building new. One's faster than we can destroy them. Queen Vishara's mandibles clicked in frustration. "How is that possible?" "Our intelligence said they had no significant space industry. They are converting everything," the aide reported. "Civilian rockets, communication satellites, even their space station modules. They are turning their entire civilization into a war machine. The Queen had never seen anything like it. When the Cathara conquered other worlds, the defeated populations would surrender once their military was destroyed. But humans seem to view every civilian as a potential soldier and every civilian facility as a potential weapon. The turning point came when forces launched their first offensive operation beyond Earth's orbit. Admiral Kate Harrison led a fleet of converted ships toward the alien mining operation on the moon. The mission was supposed to be a small raid, but it became something much more important. Captain Emma Stone commanded the lead ship, a converted cargo hauler named the New Hope. Her crew was made up of volunteers from a dozen different countries, united by their determination to drive the aliens away from Earth. All ships were going in fast, Emma radioed. The aliens had been using our moon as a staging area. Time to show them that our moon belongs to us. The attack caught the aliens completely by surprise. They had not expected humans to be able to mount offensive operations so quickly. The mining ships were designed for work, not combat, and they were destroyed within hours. But the real victory was what the humans found in the wreckage. Alien computers contained star maps showing the locations of other Kithara worlds. Technical manuals revealed the secrets of their faster-than-light travel. Most importantly, communication logs showed that the Alien Council was beginning to panic. Dr. Linda Hayes studied the captured data with growing excitement. "This changes everything," she told Admiral Harrison. "We now know where they come from. We know how their technology works. And we know they're scared." The information revealed that the Kithara had never fought an enemy like humanity. Every other species they had conquered had accepted defeat once their organized military was destroyed. But humans seemed to have no organized military in the traditional sense. Every human was a potential fighter, and they used everything around them as a weapon. "Look at this," Dr. Hayes pointed to a communication log. "Queen Vishara is asking the Galactic Council for reinforcements. She says the humans fight like a virus that turns everything it touches into a weapon." The Alien Queen's request was revealing. After 2 months of fighting, the mighty Kithara Empire was asking for help to conquer a single planet. Word was spreading through the galaxy that the humans were not the easy target everyone had expected. Back on Earth, the war had changed humanity itself. President Helen Carter addressed the world from the White House bunker, her words broadcast to every surviving television and radio station. 6 months after the first alien ship appeared, the war had spread far beyond Earth. Human ships now patrolled the asteroid belt, hunting alien supply convoys with weapons that mixed human engineering with captured alien technology. The hunters had become the hunted. Captain Emma Stone stood on the bridge of her new ship, the New Horizon. Built in the orbital shipyards that humans had constructed from captured alien materials, it was faster and deadlier than anything Earth had possessed. Before the war, around her, a fleet of similar vessels prepared for the largest human offensive in history. "All ships, this is Stone," she spoke into her communicator. "Today we end this war. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity." The target was the Kithara staging area on Mars. Queen Vijayara had moved her command center there after her flagship was badly damaged in the Battle of the Moon. Intelligence reports suggested that most of the remaining alien fleet was gathering for one final assault on Earth. But humanity had other plans. Colonel Jake Morrison commanded the overall operation from his new flagship, the USS Vengeance. 6 months ago, he had been watching routine reports from a desk on Earth. Now he was leading humanity's first interplanetary war fleet, armed with weapons that could destroy cities. "Remember," Jake broadcast to all ships, "we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting to make sure this never happens again to any human world." The battle began with something the aliens had never seen before. Human ships didn't attack in formation. Instead, they came from all directions at once, using the gravity of Mars and its moons to accelerate to incredible speeds. Some ships even flew through the planet's atmosphere, using the air resistance to change direction in ways that confused alien gunners. Commander Alex Chan piloted his fighter through the Martian canyon system, skimming just meters above the red rocks. Behind him flew a squadron of pilots who had learned to use planets themselves as weapons. "Canyon flight. We're going up the mountain and over the ridge," Alex radioed. "Hit them from above when they're not expecting it." His fighters burst out of the canyon like bullets from a gun, their missiles striking alien ships that had thought they were safe above the planet's surface. The Cathara had never fought an enemy that could use terrain in 3 dimensions. On Mars itself, human ground forces launched their assault on the alien base. Marine Colonel Chris Taylor led the attack, his troops wearing powered armor built from captured alien technology. The armor was not as advanced as what the aliens wore, but it was tough and reliable, built the human way. "Remember your training," Chris told his Marines as their landing craft approached the alien complex. "These bugs have better individual equipment, but they've never fought an enemy that adapts as fast as we do." The battle for the alien base became legend. Human Marines fought through corridors that were designed for insect-like creatures, using explosives and close-quarters combat to clear room after room. The aliens had superior weapons, but humans had superior tactics and an absolute refusal to give up. The final confrontation came when Chris Taylor's team reached the command center, where Queen Vishara had barricaded herself with her elite guards. The Cathara Queen was twice the size of a human, her chitinous armor gleaming under the base's lights. "You cannot win, primitive," she hissed at Chris as her guards fell around her. "My people have conquered 47 worlds. You are nothing but an upstart species." Chris Taylor pulled off his helmet and looked the alien queen in the eyes. "Lady, you made one big mistake. You attacked our home. And humans have a real simple rule about that. You threaten our families. We don't stop until you're dead." The hand-to-hand fight that followed was brief but brutal. Queen Vishara was strong and well-armed, but Chris Taylor had been fighting for his species' survival for 6 months. When it was over, the Cathara Queen lay dead on the floor of her own command center. News of the Queen's death spread through the alien fleet within hours. Without their leader, the Cathara began to panic. Some ships tried to retreat toward the edge of the solar system. Others surrendered to human forces. A few fought to the death, but they were quickly overwhelmed. Admiral Kate Harrison commanded the pursuit fleet that chased the retreating aliens beyond the orbit of Jupiter. Her ships were now faster than anything the Cathara possessed, powered by human-built engines that used alien technology in ways the original creators had never imagined. "This is Admiral Harrison to all alien vessels," she broadcast on all frequencies. "You have exactly 1 chance to surrender. After that, we hunt you down one by one." Most of the surviving aliens chose surrender. They had seen what humans did to enemies who fought to the end, and they had no desire to experience it themselves. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Barnes sat in her new office at the Global Defense Command. The walls were covered with star charts showing not just Earth's solar system, but dozens of others. Information taken from captured alien computers had revealed the locations of every major alien world in this part of the galaxy. "The Galactic Council is in panic," she reported to President Helen Carter during their weekly briefing. 3 different alien races have requested emergency sessions to discuss the human problem. President Carter looked at the reports from space. Human ships were now patrolling far beyond Earth, establishing bases on asteroids and moons throughout the solar system. The species that had been considered a primitive backwater 6 months ago was now the dominant military power in the local region. "What about our expansion plans?" the president asked. "Construction of the first interstellar ships begins next month," Dr. Barnes replied. "We're combining human engineering with alien technology to create vessels that can travel between star systems in weeks instead of years." The transformation was remarkable. Humanity had gone from a single planet species to an interstellar power in less than a year. The war that was supposed to conquer Earth had instead launched humanity into the galaxy as a major force dot in the depths of space. Commander HFY received reports of the Kithara defeat with a mixture of satisfaction and fear. He had warned the Galactic Council about attacking humanity, but even he had not expected the humans to adapt so quickly or fight so effectively. "What is the status of human expansion?" he asked his aide. "Their ships have been detected in 7 different star systems," came the reply. "They appear to be establishing forward bases and reconnaissance posts. Some reports suggest they are making contact with other species." HFY's scales darkened with worry. "And their intentions?" "Unknown, Commander. But their broadcasts suggest they are preparing for what they call defensive expansion. They want to make sure no other species can threaten their home world." The irony was not lost on HFY. The Galactic Council had attacked Earth to prevent humans from becoming a threat. Instead, they had created exactly what they feared: a militaristic species with advanced technology and a deep distrust of alien intentions. On Earth, construction had begun on humanity's first interstellar warships. The designs combined human creativity with alien technology to create vessels unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They were built for speed, stealth, and overwhelming firepower. Tech billionaire Steve Williams oversaw much of the construction from his orbital factory. "6 months ago, I was launching internet satellites," he told his workers. "Now we're building ships that can carry human civilization to the stars." The ships were named after concepts that had driven human expansion throughout history: exploration, discovery, courage, and freedom. But the largest ship, the one that would carry humanity's message to the galaxy, was named something that would strike fear into any species that heard it: Vengeance. Former resistance fighter Dan Foster now commanded a battalion of Space Marines, soldiers trained to fight in any environment from airless moons to hostile planets. His troops were volunteers from every nation on Earth, united by their experience in the war. "We're not going out there to conquer other worlds," he told his soldiers. "We're going out there to make sure Earth is never threatened again. And if anyone tries to repeat what the Kithara did, they'll learn what human anger really looks like." The first interstellar expedition launched exactly 1 year after the first alien ship appeared. Captain Joe Morgan commanded the lead ship as it departed Earth's solar system, carrying diplomats, scientists, and enough military force to defend itself against any threat. Their destination was the Galactic Council's main headquarters, located in a system 40 light years from Earth. The message they carried was simple: humanity was now a member of the galactic community, whether the other species liked it or not. President Helen Carter watched the launch from the White House lawn. Around her stood the heroes of the war: Admiral Kate Harrison, Colonel Jake Morrison, Dr. Linda Hayes, and dozens of others who had turned humanity from victims into victors. "1 year ago, we were alone in the universe," the president said to the assembled crowd. "Today, we take our place among the stars. And we go not as conquerors, but as defenders of freedom and human dignity." But even as she spoke those peaceful words, President Carter knew the truth. Humanity had been forever changed by the war. The species that had once dreamed of peaceful contact with alien civilizations was now armed and dangerous, ready to defend itself against any threat.